G'day SA.
I'm Jenna.
And I'm Jay.
And we're still at Kangaroo Island. We just spent the night at the beautiful King's Coast.
And I'll tell you what, we're refueled with a buffet breakfast that was to die for.
Yeah, you definitely did.
Why don't we go and check out today's adventures?
Let's do it. We start the day at Seal Bay Conservation Park, only a short 45-minute drive from Kingscote, the island's main town. Seal Bay is home to Australia's third largest colony of Australian sea lions, a species unique to Australia's south and west coasts. There are about 15,000 of these captivating animals living along the coast of Australia, and Seal Bay is definitely one of the best places to get a good look at them. An 800-metre long boardwalk offers fantastic views of the sea lion colony, as well as the stunning coastline. And for those who are curious to get up close to these fascinating animals, there are guided tours with access to the actual beach.
So behind us you can see Australian sea lions, which are one of the rarest species of seal found anywhere in the world. They're unfortunately now an endangered species, and they're only found in South Australia and Western Australia, which makes them Australia's only species of seal that's only found here in Australia, which is called endemic. So they're a pretty special kind of seal, absolutely beautiful, and behind us you might be able to see some that have a grey back and a cream belly, which can be young males and young females or adult females. But the males start to darken as they get older, and we're starting now to see some of our males heading out, eating a lot of food, getting ready for breeding season, which is a really exciting time here at Seal Bay Conservation Park. Breeding season for an Australian sea lion is a really interesting time, and it's interesting from a human perspective because Australian sea lions have the longest pregnancy of any seal, which is 18 months. So these females really are what we call the ocean super mums. Once a female gives birth to a pup, she's actually back in season again only 1 week later, and she'll have a really large bull, up to 350 kilos of him, hanging around her, fighting off any other males that are waiting for an opportunity to breed as well. And at the same time she has to protect her newborn pup and suckle it and feed it milk. So this can be a dangerous time for the little pups because the bulls are so big and a little bit aggressive when they're getting ready to breed. And the males stay on land for maybe up to 4 weeks. They don't go out to sea and hunt at that time, and that's why they've bulked up to the condition that they have already. But a female will need to eat again not so long after giving birth, and she'll head out to sea, leave her pup here, hopefully in a nice sheltered spot, and she'll return again and call out for her pup, and they'll smell each other's faces to recognise who's the right mother and who's the right pup, and then she'll be able to suckle that pup again. It's only ever one pup at a time that she'll give birth to, and she will suckle that pup basically right up until the next one's born 18 months later. And you might have already worked out the tricky thing about all of this is that with an 18-month pregnancy, it means that Australian sea lions don't breed at the same time every year. So it is quite special when you get to see this all happening. It means that this year it's happening winter into summer, but the next season it's going to be the other way around, summer into winter.
It is absolutely amazing to see these enchanting creatures playing on the beach, just relaxing in the sun and even going for a swim and a bit of a fish. It's incredible how close we can get to them in their natural environment and observe them in the wild, just minding their own business and doing what they do on a day-to-day basis. I'm here with an inspirational woman, Emma. We just heard your tour guide down there talking about the seals. Now, I want to say over here, I noticed when you stand up here, you got an appreciation. You can see a beautiful reef out there.
Yes, definitely. And that reef is so important to Seal Bay because naturally it's a barrier for predators like sharks, which are seal's biggest predator. And also in terms of our history, we think that it's what stopped the sealers coming here and wiping out this colony. So it's pretty special to Seal Bay.
Now, another thing I've noticed as well is when you were out in the boat yesterday, you see beer cans that, holders, and you see garbage bags. What's the entanglement like for the sea lions out in here?
Well, you're right. That is one of the biggest problems for Australian sea lions now, is the amount of pollution out in our oceans. And Australian sea lions go a long way out when they're hunting and they're diving to the bottom. And unfortunately, particularly the younger ones are very curious and playful. So anything they come across that once they start playing,
get tangled.
And anything that can get caught around their neck has the potential to kill them.
Because with the seals, we have to keep a little bit of a distance.
Yes.
But if you do see a seal, say, have a bag it's trapped around its neck, do you then intervene and help the seal?
Yes, that's definitely where we do step in then. So it's quite a complicated process, but we'll do the absolute best we can to remove anything that might cause a threat to them that's a human influence.
One of the reasons why I did want to stand here and have a chat is because behind here we've got absolutely beautiful scenery, and it is a big walk up the sand dunes, and at nights, to keep cool, the seals actually come behind and come all the way behind here.
Yeah, that's right. So if the weather's cooler, they feel the cool just like we do, so they'll come in here to get a warmer spot to rest. So it might be overnight, but particularly in winter, they can walk up to 1 kilometre inland to find a nice warm spot to rest.
I don't know how they do it because they got puffed just walking up, but they seem to get up there and have a good time.
Exactly, yeah.
One of the good things I noticed about the Seal Centre is that you've got an learning centre, which you've got a lot of excursions here. Can you tell us a little bit about the learning centre?
Yeah, definitely. So you can come on a tour here and go on the boardwalk and up to the lookout, but we also do offer more information up at the visitor centre, and you have the chance to browse all of the interpretive displays. We've got special folders as well with material about seals that have recovered from shark bites, seals that have been rescued from entanglement. So it's fantastic, especially for school groups. When they come here, they can come down and get a real authentic experience and continue learning up at the centre.
One thing I noticed down on the sand was the seals are having a little bit of a scratch.
Yes.
Now, do they have some sort of fingernails or something like that?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. If you look at your fingers, their nails are set back along their second
So they're very similar
knuckle.
to human hands.
Very similar, yeah. And they bend the digits over and the nails stick out. Their hips are much more flexible than ours, so then they can bend around, scratch everywhere.
Can you give me a demonstration on how they scratch behind?
I don't know if my hips are that flexible, but it's a bit
behind the head.
bit like this.
No, I want to scratch.
Just like this, yeah. So if you're going through your molt, losing all your hair, you'd be doing a lot of this.
Beautiful. That feels good. I want to thank you very much for all your efforts you do here. You are so passionate at what you do,
thank you.
and without you, this colony and that wouldn't survive. So
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
such
coming.
a beautiful lady. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, we've just come from Seal Bay, and I tell you what, Jay, Kangaroo Island certainly does put on the wildlife, don't they?
They sure do. We're only up the road from Seal Bay, and we're at Raptor Domain, which is a great experience where you can get up close and hold some birds on your arm.
Wow.
Let's go and check it out. Raptor Domain offers a home for a number of orphaned and sick and injured birds of prey. Many are returned to the wild after successful rehabilitation, but the ones that cannot be released are trained by passionate bird lovers and are used for interactive educational shows, all for the public.
Folks, this is our little mate Slim. Slim's an interesting bird. He's a black-breasted buzzard. And when we say the name buzzard, people immediately think of vultures. That's because Americans cause a bit of confusion calling their turkey vultures buzzards as a nickname. But there are many species of buzzard around the world. Very few of them are scavengers. Buzzards are like hawks. They basically hunt and catch their own prey. So certainly our black-breasted buzzard here in Australia is not a scavenger. Very rare to see them on the side of the road eating dead animals like you do the wedge-tails and the kites. They actively hunt and catch their own prey. And buzzards love eggs, so you reckon they'd be pretty happy if they found a big egg like this. An emu egg is a wonderful meal for a black-breasted buzzard. Slim's going to show you something interesting, you see, because buzzards can't break an emu egg with their beak or their feet. So you've got to wonder, how would a buzzard get into an egg like that? Well, Slim's going to show you this morning. And the most interesting is, we didn't have to teach him to do it. Egg breaking pretty much comes natural to buzzards. You know, Aboriginal people told us that there was this bird that broke eggs with a stone, but nobody really believed them. It was pretty much a myth, or thought to be a myth right up until the early 1980s. And it was actually this bird's parents, because they're a captive breeding pair at Featherdale Wildlife Park in New South Wales. They're pretty much the only breeding captive pair of black-breasted buzzards in the world. So Slim's pretty special to us, but they were given an egg and a stone back in the early 80s, and lo and behold, they knew exactly what to do. And so that's when it was authenticated, but up until that point, it was thought to be a myth. This is Jeddah. Jeddah's a beautiful bird. She's a wedge-tailed eagle, female, and she's 21 this year. So we're going to have a little party for her this year. She came in as an orphan all those years ago, and I've pretty much had Jeddah ever since. You can see she's mature now by her colour. Wedge-tails are a close relative of the golden eagle that we find across the northern hemisphere. Our birds here in Australia are darker, sleeker, longer in the tail in particular. And they're one of 3 species of eagles that we have in Australia, the white-bellied sea eagle and the little eagle. They're the other 2 species. They are renowned to have the longest wingspan of any eagle in the world, the wedge-tails, and that can be up around 2.7 metres. You see when a bird turns its head on the side and looks out of one eye? See how she's doing that? She's looking up with one eye. She's focusing into the deep focal point of her eye. And that's like using the binoculars, because she's got 2 focal points in each eye, and the deep focal point brings the view up 2.5 times closer. Yeah, us humans, we only got 1 focal point, so. Yeah, butte birds, eagles, very clever. They've got a whole range of tricks up their sleeve for hunting prey. And of course they know their territory like you know your aisles of your local supermarket. They know exactly where to be at what time of day to catch whatever there is they want to catch. And what techniques to use in what areas. And they'll tackle anything from a rabbit-sized animal right up to a big kangaroo. They get a kangaroo out in open country, a pair of experienced birds or a whole group of young birds will take on a big kangaroo. But generally, you know, on the mainland, rabbits are big on the menu there. And we have a joke, we reckon rabbits are like McDonald's, because they're all over the country. They're fast food. Our little takeaway message for you is a very easy one for you to remember. It's a little equation. It goes like this: species minus habitat equals extinction. And if you think about it, that's pretty much the bottom line.
Well, Dave, that was just absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And Jed stuck around to have a bit of an interview. Isn't she just beautiful?
She is. She's a lovely bird.
And you were saying she's 21, but she can. How long are we expecting, you know, a bird like her to live for?
Well, if she keeps going the way she's going, she could go to 50 years.
Wow.
So, yeah. But we'll see. She's not even look old to me. And I've seen some old eagles, and they look old, and she doesn't look old yet, so she's still got a long way to go, I think.
And I must say, watching that presentation there, you can really see that you're very passionate about the birds, but also that you have such a good connection with them as well. I mean, you've had Jed for 21 years. Yeah,
that's right. You have to. There is a connection. It's different to keeping birds in an aviary. You have a personal connection with each trained bird because you train them, and you've got to work with those little idiosyncrasies, because every one of these birds, they're just like people. There's things they like and things they don't like, and you've got to work with that a little bit. you've got to know them really well, otherwise, and they need to know you really well. You can't anyone just come along and fly them like we do. They have to know you, and you have to know what they're likely to do and what they're capable of doing. Yeah.
Well, the park is absolutely fantastic as well, and I understand this is the second park. You've just recently sort of moved over here.
Yeah, I've just been here a couple of years now, and we're on the up and up.
Well, it is an educational experience, and we had a couple of youngsters here, and it's fantastic for them to learn from a young age about the issues that you were mentioning before.
It does. It actually has a profound effect on you when you get up and close and personal with animals. So I reckon that all kids should have a pet of some sort when they're growing up and get that connection with wildlife. Even if it's a dog or a cat or whatever. It's that appreciation that drives the want to conserve. Like I say in displays, if you don't know anything about something, you're never going to want to conserve it, and that's what we do here. We educate the people, and they go away with a different understanding and appreciation, and that's where conservation starts.
Let's talk about the rehabilitation side of the park, because you did mention throughout the display that you do take care of sick birds and then release them back into the wild. Talk us through that. Yeah,
we get a lot of birds brought into us sick and orphaned and injured. We have hospital boxes they go in for a start after they've seen the vet and been assessed. There are those, I've got a few here that can't be released back to the wild. They've got a shoulder problem or something, and they have to be in tip-top shape to go back into the wild, because they're catching animals that are in tip-top condition.
Otherwise they're just going to end up back
if you let a bird go that's not in good condition and fit, you're wasting your time even letting it go or even doing anything with it for a start. And if you don't go about it properly, you're wasting your time. But so we get lots brought into us. Those that can't go back to the wild, we either use for educational displays or we set them up as breeding birds, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to perhaps release some of the progeny back to the wild. But it's really the education of people with wildlife that's where conservation is. It's nice to let animals go back into the wild. It makes you feel good, it makes the bird gets a second chance. But as far as it goes for conservation, it's not helping a great deal. It's minimal. But everybody feels good about doing it. Without education changes everything. The way people see the world, the way they treat animals, and the way they treat each other. It's all to do with education, and that's what we do.
Well, it's absolutely magic. And I'll tell you what, Dave, an hour ago I would not have been sitting here this close to the beautiful Jed, so you've definitely changed me.
Well, we'll have to get you the older snake a bit later.
I don't know about that, but thank you so much.
Today's dish is all about this beautiful Kangaroo Island Ligurian honey. Ligurian honey is made by bees that are actually native to Italy, but they've actually been moved over to Kangaroo Island by some immigrants. And the funny thing is that now they're actually the most purebred strain of Ligurian bees in the world. And so the best Ligurian honey in the world comes from Kangaroo Island. So what I'm going to do today is make some wonderful cannelloni with some ricotta, some honey, some thyme, some nutmeg. I'm going to cook that in a garlic and bay sauce, and then I'm going to serve it with a brown butter. So the first thing I need to do is make my cooking liquid, the sauce I'm going to cook the cannelloni in. So I'm going to heat some cream up. We want this to get nice and hot. And to the cream, I'm just going to add some garlic cloves. I've got 4 cloves of chopped garlic there, as well as some bay leaves. I'm going to add some nutmeg as well, one of my favourite spices. I'm just going to grate it in there with a microplaner. About half a nutmeg nut. Also just a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Now we're going to mix that together. And this is what we're going to use when we bake our cannelloni to rehydrate the pasta and give it a nice flavour. While that's heating up, I need to make my stuffing for my cannelloni. I've got some beautiful ricotta cheese here, which is going to be the main body of our stuffing. And to that I'm going to add the star, our beautiful Ligurian honey. Although this is a savoury dish, this honey is going to give it a nice roundness and sweetness, which is going to be beautiful. Next we're going to go in with some more of our nutmeg. And if you don't have one of these beautiful microplane graters at home, I recommend it because they do such a good job at grating things really finely, so you get a big spread of the nutmeg through the dish. Great for grating cheese, really good for lemon zest. Funny I say that because now I'm going to add some lemon zest to it. Do the zest of 1 lemon. Now we're also going to add some thyme. I've just picked some thyme, 4 sprigs of thyme, just picked all the leaves off. Going to add a good whack of salt. And the last thing is just a good lashing of olive oil. Now I just need to mix this all together, combining all our flavours, get the honey mixed through everything. Beautiful ricotta cheese. These cannelloni are big long tubes, and so you need to get all the filling into them. Now I've got a little piping bag, It's a nice quick way to do it. You just snip the end off to roughly about the same size as the cannelloni opening and just simply stick it in there, pipe it down, and we're done. And that's just as easy as that. So to cook our cannelloni, we just get them, we put them into our tray. This is our cream mixture that's heated up, so we've infused the flavour of the nutmeg, the garlic and the bay leaves. I'm just going to pour that over our cannelloni. All we have to do is put them in the oven and bake it at about 180 degrees. And it'll take about 35 minutes. We'll have some lovely cannelloni. Our cannelloni's been in the oven for 30 minutes and it's come up an absolute treat. So I'm just going to finish off, plate it up. The other thing I've done is make some sage burnt butter just to finish it off and add a tiny bit more flavour. I'm just going to drizzle that through the sauce and split the sauce out and a little bit over the top of our cannelloni. So there we have it. That's my Kangaroo Island inspired Ligurian honey and ricotta cannelloni.
After a great lunch, we head out to Flinders Chase National Park to have a look at one of KI's most famous landmarks, the Remarkable Rocks. The rocks have been naturally sculpted and are set on top a granite outcrop about 75 metres above sea level. The Remarkable Rocks are exposed to an unobstructed Southern Ocean wind. It's this wind, along with rain, that over thousands of years has helped create the unusual shapes we see today.
Well, they do say you cannot experience Kangaroo Island without coming to the Remarkable Rocks. And I tell you what, I've got the best tour guide possible. This is Pierre, who is the chairman of the Tourism Kangaroo Island. So thank you so much for having us.
No, great, it's my pleasure. I enjoyed the opportunity to showcase Kangaroo Island.
And they certainly got the name right, didn't they?
They have.
Remarkable Rocks.
Absolutely, absolutely. Most people, you ask them what do they think of the rocks, and the first response is absolutely remarkable. And you know, people come from the other side of the world to see Kangaroo Island and this part of the island in particular.
And let's talk about the history of this place. It's been around quite a while, I'd imagine, by the looks of the formations.
It is. Look, some people say it's been around forever. I've got to say from the outset, I'm not a geologist, Jenna, but the rocks were spewed out as part of volcanic and molten action about 500 million years ago. And as a result of subsequent erosion, wind, weather, rain, sea, what we've got is these massive granite outcrops. And as I said, people really enjoy clambering around the outside, having a look at and climbing over the rocks as well. There are some parts that clearly lend themselves to that. There's other parts where you really have to display a little bit of more caution.
Well, look, you talk about the erosion. There is so many different formations around here. I mean, just behind us, we've got something that looks like a bird's beak, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yep. And look at the backdrop, the Southern Ocean. The next piece of landfall is basically Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing, and I'm sure it obviously draws so many tourists down here to check it out and get a photo.
That's right, and one of the great photo opportunities is what we call the Flintstone rock. So you climb in underneath it, you're actually encased in rock, and it looks like the old Flintstone TV.
I mean, look, Pierre, you stand on the edge of it and you feel like you're on the edge of the world, don't you?
Absolutely. Fresh air, boundless
blue
vision, blue sea,
sun shining down on us.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely amazing. But we are in a national park, and driving in here, I mean, the scenery was there from the get-go, wasn't it?
It certainly was, and this national park was formed roughly around 1920, and I guess that since that time there's been gradual acquisition of land, and basically visitation to the island revolves largely around the national parks. So people come to see sites like this. They come to see the wildlife, the kangaroos, the wallabies, the koalas, the Rosenberg goannas, and and they never leave disappointed.
No, I bet.
Well, Jenna, just around the corner, there's something really special I want to show you.
Okay.
Have a look at it, stand back 5 or 10 metres and tell me what you think it looks like.
All right, let's do it. Oh, wow. Oh, look at that. Oh.
So, what do you think? What does it look like?
Looks like Casper, doesn't it, with its droopy eyes and the nose?
You picked it in one. There's
Casper the friendly ghost.
Hundreds of thousands of people have said the same thing.
All good things must come to an end, Jen, but I tell you what, I've had an exciting time here in Kangaroo Island, and they make you feel so welcome
They
here.
absolutely do. Don't forget to check our website, g'daysatravel.com, for all of this season's episodes.
Now, time is coming upon us. We need to catch a ferry,
We
Jen.
sure do.
But before that, it's a great opportunity for photo of the week.
Look at that view, Jay. Let's do it.
But this time, please don't, before you do that, don't push me over this time, okay,
Oh,
Jen?
Jay, what? It's not going to happen.
Okay, ready? Here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers.